Hey, it's Mark with another Super Bowler Smash attack, and this one is going to be against a core Town Hall. Um, Town Hall more in the center, so the Flame Flinger is not going to be able to take down the Town Hall in this one. Let's take a look to see where, and I guess, to be fair on this particular base, I I don't know. It's kind of a hybrid of what they've upgraded on this one. I mean, there's some expo. All the expos are actually maxed out, and so are the Inferno towers. So it's one of those upgrades where they go for they upgrade first the biggest defenses, but the cannons. I mean, the cannons are they're a couple of levels down for sure, maybe three. The cannons are way behind. Anyhow, so let's look for where to do the entry on this one. Expos are more in the center, so they're really not an issue. The mortars, there's pretty much, well, up here there's one in each corner, and then over here, they're not in the corner, but they're on this side. They're not really going to be a problem no matter which way I come in. So one thing to see here is it's sort of a say from like a 430 entry, the southeast edge, coming in from that way. It's kind of a ring, kind of a it's kind of like a half ring, like a U, kind of turned towards the that southeast edge, and so I'm something to kind of think about that could mess with the pathing, and as far as the getting into the center, can I do it? I would be able to just do a wall break, and the spacing here is 3 for a defense and 2 tiles. That's 5, and a jump can do 6, and so I would be able to jump into the compartment. I don't have to get it. I mean, I got to get the jump pretty good, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'd be able to get in, and then I would have a jump to help the troops escape on the back end. So that wouldn't be half bad to do it that way. The biggest defenses are, there's a lot of big defenses on the other side of the town hall. So let's think about, well, how about the 830 side or the 230 side. One of those sides is, that's a possibility to work too. Actually, in all of the corners, the Flame Flinger and the Warden would work. There's nothing that would prevent either one of them from working, really. For heroes, there's the Queen, so she could come into play in that north corner, and most likely will, actually. Yeah, and there's the king down here. So if we went in from 830 on that bottom left edge, we'd be able to kind of power through the king, that way. So that's a possibility too. In the more of the 1030 side, so kind of this upper left edge. It's the walls are a little bit different up here, and so if I super wall braked, I wouldn't be able to do one jump to get from this wall where the warden is, to get all the way to the wall between the eagle and the monolith. That's way too big of a gap for one jump to do. So I would have to, in this case, I would end up jumping actually the exterior wall. I wouldn't even use the super wall break to enter. I'd use one of the jumps in between these two storages, and that would get me into this hero compartment. And so I would need another jump, probably like right on the monolith, to get me actually into the core area. But one thing I like about this side is because of the walls, it means that helps with the pathing. So for the super bowlers, and if I can just get these kind of like, you know, enough of these corner buildings kind of cleared, and over here too, and all these buildings inside these walls are here, the super bowlers are going to want to just march through, and then the walls will help them kind of stay in that path. So I like it from that perspective. The other thing that's kind of good is two heavy defenses. The monolith and the eagle are both over there, plus a couple of expos. So early on, the super bowlers are going to be able to just smash through those defenses, and then get to the town hall. So that is really appealing. So as far as from 12 and from 9, where to put the Flinger and where to put the Granden Warden, so there's the Granden Warden, and then there's the Queen. So I'll look at the heroes sometimes to help me decide which way to go. And the Warden is better for the Flame Flinger side because the Flinger outranges the Warden. And obviously the Warden doesn't outrage the Warden. And the Warden hits hard. So it is problematic for the Warden to go against the Warden. So normally on if there's a Warden there and I'm picking a side like this, I'll choose the Flame Flinger on that side. And typically too with the Queen, I'm most likely will use the Warden on the Queen side, and it is definitely risky because when I do put the Warden over by a Queen, a lot of times I will lose the Warden ability. All of a sudden the Queen, it can happen pretty quick. All of a sudden the Queen will target the Warden and get off a couple of shots. By the time I get to putting a freeze spell to stop the Queen, she might have got enough shots off to actually cause the Warden ability to go off. So I have to pay. I don't know. I definitely can do better at keeping track of that. So that's, I think, is going to be the best plan of attack, the one that I like anyhow, for this base. And let's get the replay going. So there's the Yeti over at 9, tanking that mortar. Flame Flinger is going to take down the mortar, so that won't be a problem for the Flame Flinger. And at 12 o'clock, the Warden is working away. We'll see what happens with the Warden and the Queen here. And there's not too much contention going on with the Flinger, so I should be able to pay a lot of attention to what's going on with the Warden here and keep him from going down, his ability from going down with the Queen. So already the Warden is slightly ahead of the Flinger. They're pretty close together, I guess, but they're working away on the corners. Okay, there it is, the Warden, and then he stepped up. Queen starts getting a couple of shots, and I did get the freeze to keep the Queen from taking the ability. Got the Headhunter to finish off the Queen, and then I put the 2 jumps to path in, make it real obvious for the troops where they're going. Everybody's coming in, full send, rage them up. Another rage is going to be coming down, going into the center, yep. And then there's going to be a lot of damage in the core, obviously. Bunch of ice golems going off. I did put in the Royal Champion on the upper right edge. Normally, so what will happen typically for me, the timing of this is there's normally a lot going on, just trying to get with the pathing and the rages, and do I need to put any free spells down? I try not to use too many freezes early on if I don't have to. One reason is because of the 3 ice golems, and so I'm going to get some free spells from them on the main push anyhow. And so I don't want to be using a freeze and have, ice golems going off and freezing anyhow. They're actually a bigger freeze spell. If I can, I will try to save some freeze and the skeleton spell to help out the Royal Champion. So I did put the Royal Champion. But what I wanted to mention was that with the timing to put the Royal Champion in, typically what will happen is I will wait until after I have the Super Bowlers pathed to the destination, wherever they're going. Like I've got both jumps in, and I probably have 2 rages in. Maybe I'll have 1 rage left yet. But it's kind of a point where it's a little bit of waiting just for the main army, the Super Bowlers, just to kind of crush through the defensive buildings. And so I have a little bit of a beat where I can put in the Royal Champion, and it's a good spot. It's a good time to put in the Royal Champion because all the defenses are going to be, at least like in this case, in the core, they're all focused on the main army. And so the Royal Champion is not going to have as much heat on her. And so that's kind of typically the way the timing will work out. And so we just have the main army poison spell on those pups, and the queen has to work through that. And the Royal Champion gets sucked into the middle a little bit because of that minion, that super minion. Not much health left on the Royal Champion. I'm kind of going to lose her. But the Flame Flinger opens. There is good value for the Flame Flinger on this one. And there wasn't a real obvious spot for that skeleton spell. I just kind of dropped it just to kind of get some wide sort of distraction. Have those skellies. There's not really much left for defenses. I hit the queen ability there just to get the queen moving, get through that wall. And once the queen gets through the wall, there's still just too many troops left. And it definitely helps that it's that the cannons were not upgraded that well. So there's another example of a Super Bowler smash attack on a central town hall.